Greetings. Buenos dias. Welcome to another morning of trading pre-market. I'm looking at the SPX, and hold on one second. Make sure this has the right microphone. See here. Just checking, okay? I'm looking at SPX on the 15-minute chart. This red line is a 200 moving average. Purple line, I believe, is the 20. I believe it's the 20. This is the 9. So on the 15-minute chart, it looks like support is happening here. If I switch this to the 4-hour, which is where I have a tendency to now hang out, this looks like a great change is coming on the 4-hour. Even the MACD has crossed over, and we have these green bars, which seems to signify upward motion. So this should be interesting. This is a cheer formation right here on the 4-hour. We'll get to that later, but that seems to be what the preliminary information seems to be. All right. So let's take a look, see at what's going on. Pre-market. Dow futures is down 0.12 cents. Well, 12%. S&P futures is up, though, 0.08%. The Nasdaq futures is up 0.53%. The S&P futures nudge higher after earnings lift the index to a second winning day. And if you're in my situation where you had call credit spreads, you might have got a surprise yesterday. For Europe, DAX is down 0.01%. Negligible. FTSE up 0.35%. CAC up 0.27%. FTSE Milano down 0.18%. Stocks really technically about even. European markets higher as positive momentum builds, carrying down 9%. For Asia, ASX 200, which is Australia, down 0.01%, negligible. The Nikkei up the most, 2.42%. Kospi up 2%. HSI, which is Hong Kong, up 2.21%. Shanghai up 0.76%. So the Nikkei leads Asian markets amid broader rally. Australia inflation slows for fifth straight quarter. That'll be right there. We are going to look at the Russell 2K is up 1.79%, but the VIX is up 1.27%. So that is something to keep in mind. Okay? Something we need to keep in mind. For today, Forex Factory, 8:30 was core durable goods. Orders month over month. Orange folder. We had another orange folder for durable goods. Orders months over month. And there's the bell. At 10:30, crude oil inventories. That's a yellow folder. All right. We can look and see right here. This is Forex Factory. And looking to see. I thought they were going to post it, but they didn't. Usually they will post those relatively soon. I was going to see if we had a actual to match to the forecast, but I don't see anything there. All right. There's a lot more going on with investing.com. which should not be a surprise to anybody. So for the 7 o'clock time frame, we had a bunch of 1-star events. We had the NBA 30-year mortgage applications week over week, the purchase index, and then we had the mortgage market index and the mortgage refinance index. A 30 was 2 stars again. Over there, it was orange folder, core durable goods orders month over month for March, but a 3-star for the durable goods orders month over month for March. 1-star at 830 was durables, excluding defense, month over month for March. That was 1-star. Also, another 1-star is goods orders, non-defense, excluding air, month over month for March. 1030, we have 3 stars, which is crude oil inventories. Okay, we also have EIA refinery crude runs week over week, 1-star. Also at 1030 is crude oil imports, 1-star. We got a 2-star, which is a Cushing crude oil inventories, which should sound familiar to some of us because we see that on a regular basis. The 1030, we also have a run of 1-stars, which is the distillate fuel production, EIA weekly distillate stocks, gasoline production, heating oil stockpiles, and the EIA weekly refinery utilization rates week over week, plus gasoline inventories, also 1-star. We have the 2-star event at 1230, which is the Atlanta Fed GDP Now Q1. And then at 1 o'clock, another 2-star, which is the 5-year note auction. Obviously, the other one, Forex Factory, did not report some of these, and different groups have their different sites have their criteria for what they report. So it just depends. Good morning, Johnny Goodwin. Good morning, Tamar. Good morning, B. Spencer and Janae. Glad to see you guys. For Mancini, big follow through for SPX. 5,003 through 8 was the buy zone as posted, and now plus 80 points. 5088 was next up for this leg. We hit 5189 overnight. Plan today, hold those runners until support fail. 5058 through 63 is support. As long as above, flag under 5083 for 5099, 5118. I'm not sure what EXT is there. I don't know if that's extension, extended, extenuate. No clue. Dip below 5058. So seems to me that 5058 through 63 is what I'm going to put on this rectangle as support. 5058. There you go. So we'll do 5058 through 63. 58 through 63. And this is going to mark for us the support that is mentioned. And probably should do red. And let's see. All right. So what we're saying is going to be support. So we'll be watching that. There was a little bit of a gap up. This is on the 4 hours, so I'm going to switch this to the 15. And when we first started the call, I was saying that this 200 moving average, this, I believe this is the 20 and the 9. They're all providing support right now and in a row. So there could be a bullish move is what I was thinking anyway. But we have here for this morning already a gap up. So we're going to mark this. It gapped up and already started pushing down into the gap. So just want to make sure we acknowledge that while it's here. Since it did that, we'll just go here. And I'm just following what price action has already done for this morning. Duplicate. Obviously, we still have some more time before we start talking about the breakout. But in terms of a gap, this is what we have for this session starting off. Another thing to keep in mind is that when it gapped up, it did gap up past another previous high. So that's something to keep in mind. Or shall I say a strong another strong point right here on the 15-minute chart for SPX. All right. So hello, Lady T and Karen C. It looks like I see. I don't know what I'm seeing. Is this FIF? I don't know what ticker that is, but I thought I saw ELF. I don't see ELF. I'm not sure what I'm seeing in this chart in terms of. What up, B Spencer? Can we do FIF? I'm not. Is that FIF, Janae? I'm not sure what that is. Hey, Lisa Henry. So let us keep it moving. So we got these out the way. Earnings. So Boeing just stepped up to the plate. Earnings. We got Boeing, AT&T, Vertiv, Humana, General Dynamics. I'm not even sure what this is, but Boston Scientific, Hilton, Amphenol, and it looks like M.I. Homes. That's before open today. I know that Boeing was on the list of pre-market movers. After close today is Meta, IBM, Ford, Chipotle, ServiceNow, Viking, Lamb Research, Celestica, Vail, and Align. This is definitely the tech sector mostly. Meta, IBM, ServiceNow, I believe Lamb, and if I'm not mistaken, Align. So if you trade XLK or if you watch XLK, I would definitely be paying attention to that for today. Okay. All right, Elf. Good morning, Sizzling. Elf plus Nvidia and Netflix. All right, gotcha. Before market open tomorrow, OSI Systems, Royal Caribbean, American Airlines, probably feeling a certain type of way about Boeing. Altria, Newmont, Caterpillar, Southwest, also probably feeling a certain type of way about Boeing. Bristol Myers Squibb, AstraZeneca, and Mobileye. After close on Thursday, Tech. Microsoft, Alphabet, Intel, Snap, Roku, Western Digital, Dexcom, T-Mobile, Gilead, and Skechers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 7 in the tech space. And then Friday before open, you start hitting oil and healthcare. ExxonMobil and Chevron are both reporting, so that should be of note. AbbVie, Colgate-Palmolive, HCA Healthcare, Charter, ACM, Autoliv, Centene, and Ball. So that should be some serious, I guess you could say, I don't want to say volatility, but serious cause to keep an eye on some things. Let me say it that way. All right, so we're going to come back to this. These are numbers for Mancini, and we'll mark the 15-minute in a little bit. We're going to move on over here to ELF as requested. Right. Switch this to the monthly. I did get into 2 ELF trades last week that were both profitable. This is ELF on the monthly chart. And it has turned around here and here. But I would definitely make note of this. This was a strong turnaround point. So these are all, to me, strong ones. I mean, obviously this bounced off that line as well, but if we did weekly, woo, we are on the downtrend in ELF. It's almost like a and ELF is, well, I don't want to say, I was told that they're not competitors to Ulta, quote unquote, not competitors, but they are in the same space in terms of products. ELF, Sephora, Ulta, they're all in the same type of retail space. But we see that there is clearly a downtrend on the weekly. And there is a clear buyer zone right here at the bottom. So this would be leg in, two in the base, leg out right there. So if we was charting for that, if we were charting this for the weekly, this is a strong leg that's pushed up out of the buyer zone. The seller zone on the weekly isn't all that great. There's a bunch in this base. That'll be leg in, 1, 2, 3, 4 in the base. And a strong leg out right here. But other than that, see what the daily is talking about. So right down here, a couple things happen. It gapped down, so it's bouncing off this gap right now. May or may not feel it, but it's definitely bouncing off of it. I'm gonna activate, bring it down. And then we have this right here. Right? So that's where it almost looks like it's trying to form a new seller zone. Okay, you can even say that there's a little bit of a gap left up here too that it can fill. And honestly, there's one under it also. So if you did that, something like that, and then a thin one right here. And for a lot of these gaps, so back in the day, I used to not even put too much credence into the smaller gaps until I started seeing that some of those smaller gaps were making a difference with the with some of the turnarounds and the being support or resistance. So I started doing a better job of marking them because they are there. So, but the other thing is marking the gaps also started making these zones clearer. So as you can see on this is a buyer zone down here. It just gapped up on the leg. Well, yeah, it just gapped up to created that leg out. So that's what we have here. So it's leg in, base, leg out. So there's that. And to be honest with you, I don't really see why you wouldn't consider this a cheer formation. Leg in, base, leg out. There's enough there to consider that a cheer formation. So the gaps around it are already marking it as far as I'm concerned. So what we'll do, in this case, I'm just going to add some green to it just to be consistent. If we're looking at trading it, depends on what your trading sentiment is. It is in the seller zone. Just one thing to do is to wait for it to turn around to see. This is the 4 hour, and I'm just looking at that just to see if I was going to be in it. I'll be looking to be in it, a couple days, something like that. So I'll be looking at the 4 hour and the 1 hour just to see. So it's starting to push up through that gap on the 4 hour. So I don't know if I would be so inclined right now with the market starting to push up to be up here. I probably would be starting off coming down here 160 or 152, something like that, for a put credit spread. That's what I would be looking at. There's 172.5, 170. That's what I'll be looking at. And the one way to get that number, I was getting that number by looking at the chart. But if you wanted to do 180.38, which is current price, minus 7.55, which is the volatility number, that's 172.83. That's the number that we would have to go below if we're considering the put credit spread. So you could do 172.5, 170. That's 80% out the money. 35 cents. This is a 2.5 spread, $250 of collateral, which would mean more than 10% turn on collateral for put credit spread. Now, normally, I wouldn't even be getting in this right now. I'm actually getting in this in my sim just because we're on the call and getting into the charting process. So I want to make sure I'm staying true to actually charting and getting into the trade. But normally I'll be waiting until about 10:30-ish to get in. So yeah, I will try to be as under as possible personally, but we're looking at this on the 4 hour. So there's a thing. 4 hour, this one. 1 hour would say what? You're still in the same area. There's still resistance at 174. All right. So I'll be looking at something to that degree. I don't know where Janae got in at, but and again, this is not the investment advice. We are not giving investment advice. Please don't think it's that. You're gonna look at Nvidia. I know Nvidia's been doing that pullback, or what looks like a pullback anyway. They did that run up, started falling off. People started to seem like they was about to panic. Well, y'all do realize that the run up that it's doing, it has to pull back at some point. It was going to find a seller zone at some point up there. So we're going to duplicate this. This is on the monthly. This is another nice little turning point right here. Now let's that one too. But this is for this month. It means the buyers started pushing back up on that monthly chart. On the weekly, we are heading in a downward direction, but I kept seeing where people were, trying to short Nvidia. This is a while back, and it was getting, it was losing. And I was like, first of all, I wouldn't advise anybody to try to go long on shorting Nvidia. Number one, because they keep bouncing back. If I was going to do this as a channel, what I would do is connect these lines. Depends on how you want to do it, but I'm seeing 1, 2, 3, 4 lines. Could be a channel. All it will mean is that this dipped below that a little bit. But in terms of trend lines, I'll be okay with something like that. On the weekly, on the daily, you got a nice gap up. This is it's a shear formation right here that it is in the sell zone of. So that'll be interesting to see what it's going to do here. So let's go with duplicate. All right. So this is the zone that is currently in as a sell zone. We're going to duplicate this. So we definitely want to acknowledge this gap right here, which of course, because the gap is there, we also have a buyer zone that forms for us. All right. This is what we got. So we're going to do right there and right here. And I put these shorter lines on there so I won't have a bunch of lines just running across the screen. Once I zero in, makes more sense to just look at it from this perspective. And the reason I'm not marking this as a gap yet is because it may even just go right through there and fill it. But as of right now, we have what looks to be a seller zone here, buyer zone here, 863, above 863. Since we don't know if this will come through here or not, put credit spread. Obviously, will be if we're going to get in right now anyway. Now, you'll get higher premiums or better premiums. We decided to go this route. I would consider this to be these lines I usually put on when something is in the zone or if I'm not sure what's going on there, but I need to watch it. So since this is coming into this zone, into this chair, I'm going to mark that to make the distinction between this next one up. This probably could be a chair, but this seems to be more clearer. So I'm going to go with this one. If I was looking to get in there, not knowing if this is going to turn around or not. Let's look at the 4 hour real quick just to see. So yeah, so the 4 hour has it. 851. Leg in, base, leg out. And on the 4 hour, it's turning around at this 846. Right? So I charted the daily. The 4 hour said it's coming down. It's coming down. Let's see. The 1 hour said the same thing. So you got a couple different ways to look at that for those who use the 1 hour and the 4 hour to get in. That would be 846 that you will be trying to get above. in terms of a call credit spread. So technically it will be leaving this zone, right? So you're doing call credit spread. That'll be 825.35. At least it keeps changing. Plus 32.33. Right? 857.68. 857. So 860. 860 is saying 82% out the money for a Friday expiration. It's 40 cents, which is, this is a 2.5 spread, $250. So obviously you'll be trying to get in there while it's still 40. Oh, that wasn't that. Oh, that was it. Okay, that was quick. That was the SIM though. Y'all know how the SIM is. So yeah, this is turning around on the 4 hour and the 1 hour. So that's the reason for getting in there. That particular time. We're going to gonna hop on over to SPX and then we'll do Netflix. Let's go here and see what SPX is doing. All right. We can mark our 15-minute candle. It has done a little bit of moving. Gonna wait to see if it's gonna break outside of that. And fill it. Right? Netflix. All right. Let's see what Netflix is up to. They are on a run, baby. Okay. The first thing that catches my eye with Netflix is how strong these zones look. They have their monthly chart is very strong in terms of their zones. It's bouncing off what was the low for this month. But also, this is a very strong seller zone up here. That's a couple different zones they have that are really strong. There's a buyer zone right here. I would consider this a shear formation here in the buyer zone as well. Probably will put it down here, but one of these two, probably this one because it bounced off that zone before. So you have a buyer zone down here, leg in, base, leg out, a shear, leg in, base, leg out, a sell zone, leg in, base, leg out, all right in a row, then another seller zone right up here. Yeah, you got activity. That's on the monthly, weekly. Got this happening. The word downtrend is relative because a downtrend does not always mean forever. Many times it just means currently. And that's what it's doing on the weekly. So what I'm looking for on this chart, just to connect a few of these together. What I'm really looking for, or at least wanted to see, was what was going to be up here on the top side. There's really nothing on the top side, as far as I'm concerned, to make this a channel, right? To be able to connect two dots or two wicks or something in a sensible way. But even if we did, it would more so register as maybe it came out of that, popped out of that zone. This is the only one that I see, but I don't see anything else where I could say, oh, it looks like it could be some type of legitimate channel. That would be too narrow as far as I'm concerned. So I wouldn't be worried about the channel here. It based up here at the top and then dropped, and it went past a previous or more recent low and broke past that, but didn't drop continuously. So this very well could be a U formation happening. But at the very least, we have a seller zone up here. Leg in, base leg out on the weekly. And here we go. This is a... Now, I will say that about Netflix, man. Netflix is... You look at the history of Netflix on the daily chart, woo, seems like it's always gapping. And it's not always gapping in conjunction with like a earnings release or something like that, which was very surprising. I think it seems to be one of those that might be sensitive to news, maybe. I don't know, but this is on the daily chart. This is a super strong buyer zone right here. If there was going to be a classic description of a buyer zone, I think that would be it. So I'm going to mark this one like this. This gap is a seller's gap because it gapped down and the sellers caused that. So when it comes back to retest, maybe sellers in there trying to fill that order. Based on the way it's charted right now, even if you wanted to do this is as a small leg in, 2 in the base, and this as a leg out, I can't see why. That's one version of it. The version that I would be going with, though, would be this one. Leg in, 2 in the base, leg out. That's one that I like. But I can see why somebody would do this one as well. I'll chart the one that I'm the most familiar with. How about that? So this is the gap. This is the buyer zone. I'll put this as the seller zone up here. Since it's hanging out here, there is all the chance in the world that it could consider. And here's another gap. See what I mean? Just don't stop with these jokers. Intel is the same way, by the way. If you look at an Intel chart, you'll see it gapping over time as well. So this is another gap that is under current price, under the buy zone. This is a buyer's gap, which means Netflix is essentially, dude, look how big, 491 to 537. Jesus. That was a serious push up. So right now, what this is really saying to me is that current price, this whole zone right here, is sandwiched in between two gaps. This is 570, about 578 to 610-ish. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. Because of the way it's going, I don't see why you couldn't. It's sitting right in the middle. I don't see why you couldn't consider either a call credit spread or a put credit spread. It would be higher than 492 if it was a put credit spread, I'm sure. And 609, let's see. He was trying to get in. If I was trying to get into this today, what I'll be looking at. So 563 minus 13, 550. That'll put me at 79%. If we were talking about going at the bottom, 550. So they trying to put you right here. I don't know, pimp. Know about that one. Let me look on the 4 hour and see what the 4 hour is saying. Yeah. Nah, cuz I don't know about that one. And my expiration is what, Friday? I don't know. Think I'll be looking at the call credit spread. I mean, if you bold enough, you bold enough, 170. At least we'll look at the numbers for those who got the 65 cent on the 5 spread. It's more than 10% return if you're gonna do the put credit spread. I don't know if I'm down with that one. 563 plus 13 is 76. I would be up here. And quite honestly, the main reason I would be up here is just because, so this is 78% out the money. The jump is another 8% out the money. So in both situations, it's kind of like, if you me, and I normally look at 80% out the money, it's kind of like you got to decide if you cool with being that close to 80%, but being a little bit out. Since it's sitting there in between, you got to consider that as well. So, but for me, if I got to be above 576, and this is the 5 spread, I would just do this. I would just increase this, so I'm getting 10% of what the collateral would be, and then seeing if it'll fill. That's how I would play that. XSP, no problem. That's how I would do that. So remember that these gaps are essentially, I call them buffers, but they're they act as support and resistance. This gap above it is, this is the 4 hour chart. This gap above it is acting as resistance. This one below it, if it comes down, I'm not expecting it to go right through right away. This is too much of a gap. It has to be something serious to push it through there. Just one, that's a strong push to get it through there just in one trading session or whatever. So this is a support as well. Now XXP, for those who may not be aware, so SXP, SPX, SPY, they are all basically the same thing, just different versions of the same thing. Kind of like how they be like, the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost is one, but it's three distinct parts. This is the same concept, right? Same concept. It's all SPX. It's different permutations of SPX. All right. You got the mini. You got the SPX mini. Got SPY. We got So the SPX has a very strong XSP. See, I'm already saying it. XSP has a very strong buyer zone right here in this 430 to 4 for about I'll say 430 if you want to, but 428 to 411 range. You got a nice little, this is a very strong buyer zone there. And this swing point from before will more than likely come into play again. As a, if you consider this a chair, which it looks pretty close to a chair to me, depending on how you want to view it, I will look at this 478 as something of note to check back on. This is probably trending down on the weekly, which we could very well say is a retest. Let's see here. Dude, I've been I don't know if you ever tried Duolingo to learn, but highly recommend it. But the funny part is the Duolingo character, I haven't been in the app in a minute, so it literally keeps giving me the side eye, like on my home screen. It keeps changing, so now it's giving me the side eye, like big time. I was like, yo, I didn't sign up for this thing to guilt me into coming back. Good Lord, I didn't technically leave. I've just been busy. The heck? That popped in my head because I was rolling my R's. So we're on this is a pullback. It's probably only about a 30% if you're looking at it on the Fibonacci, I would think. I would imagine so. Daily. So this gapped up. XSP. Look at this gap that it filled. This is from February 22. This was a strong zone over here. And it finally filled it over here 2 months later. Got a little gap right there. Yeah. So we got, and of course, as I was saying, marking those gaps can also show us where the zones are. And, or at the very least, make the zones clearer. I don't know why this is not letting me grab. Do it this way. What this thing is doing? All right, let's try it this way. Okay. So we're gonna mark this gap. When you see this gap, especially as a leg out, when you see it happening like this, that's a strong force. You know, we already know that a gap is a force, but I'm saying leg in, two in the base, leg out, that push for the leg out, that's a strong, that makes that a little bit stronger in terms of momentum. So we might as well get this taken care of. And this is the disto, right? So by default, we kind of already have our buyer zone already taken care of. This was a chair formation that it went up through. Again, there's another gap right here, but this very well may fill that today. So I won't even worry about that one as of right now. But we'll go up here say there's a couple things you can do with this one. If you're okay with this being the small leg in, it would look something like that. Either way, I look at it like this leg out is what I'll be focusing on as the important thing over here on the daily. So we are still lower highs, lower lows. So we're still on a downtrend in terms of SPX on the daily chart. Another thing to keep in mind, though, is this right here. This over here is a swing point that this line touched. This went through, but if you recall from some of our previous charts, this line coming back and being something can also be resistance right here. So I'm going to mark that as well. Okay, let's just take a peek at the 4 hour, see what the 4 hour got to say about all of this. Nothing too much. Nothing too much. Nothing clearer, I guess you could say. Nary the 1 hour. So if we're looking at, they all have this, main line in common. There's a gap up here on the 1 hour, right, on XPS. So since I'm usually over here, you can do either call credit spread or put credit spread. If it's going to keep pushing up, right now it's pushing down. So if you're looking at either one of those, like I said, normally I wait a little bit to get in, but I start checking right about now anyway. So this will be .70 plus 2.4. If you were doing a call credit spread, 510. 80% out of the money. So this is a one spread as well. The main reason why I will be looking at this in this situation is because the distance between 80% and 68%. I've been starting to notice that too, where there'll be like a large, guess you could say, gap or distance in between some of those numbers. I'm not even saying that it means anything, but I've been seeing it. So it's been kind of standing out lately. This would be 15 cents, 15% return on the cashola. I forgot to put YouTube AM on those other ones. If you were thinking about going to the basement and 2.4, 505. All right. Well, we're back to this 79% joint again. We were just talking about, of course, we discussed that 70%. Depends on what your predisposition is. This will be 13 cents on a one spread. And don't forget, you can always increase that if you so choose. I will do this. See what happened. All right. So have a look at that. It's probably going to keep bouncing around. Who knows? But Those are the ones that I'll be looking at in those situations. All right. Let's go back and take a peek at SPX. What y'all over here doing? That's what my mother would do if we was too quiet as kids. She automatically assumed we was getting into trouble. What y'all doing? Y'all get in here and tell me what y'all doing. So we got into SPX. So in terms of the breakout, there has not been a breakout yet. This was a buyer's gap, as we talked about. So this is bouncing off that gap, or buyers in there. But obviously the sellers, look how strong the sellers. That's pressure. That's pressure right there. So something going on, but right now it has not started trying to coming out. Hasn't started coming out. So in terms of the breakout, still more to watch there. You know what, Alyssa? Of course, another mother is going to say that mama was probably right. Of course, a mother is going to say that. Of course. Yeah. Don't forget, earnings calendar on Yahoo Finance. I'm only posting it because we use Earnings Whispers on Twitter. And give you both of them. We use both of them. However, the Yahoo Finance gives you a much longer list, because they pretty much like doing everybody that reported. 656 earnings happened on today. So I let people know that if you want to see who else is doing earnings today, Yahoo Finance has a much more robust list going on. So it looks like we covered everything. We're going to go to our E2T daily declaration, because I don't see any other tickers. By faith, I am a wise and knowledgeable trader. I'm sorry. By faith, I'm a successful trader. I'm a wise and knowledgeable trader. I make smart and lucrative decisions for my portfolios. Money likes me because money is comfortable around me. It is drawn to me. E2T Daily Prayer, Lord, give us wisdom and knowledge for our trades today. Help us to make smart and lucrative decisions for our portfolios. Okay, everybody. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is currently down 0.07%. The S&P 500 is up 0.17%. The NASDAQ is up 0.57%. The Russell 2000 is up 0.09%. And the VIX is up 0.38%. Right? So, we do two things around here. Stay green, get this money, and keep in mind, whatever's happening in the world can directly affect the stock market. So make sure you trade what you see on the charts. All right. You all have a great trading day. We will see you either in our Telegram group or we'll see you on tomorrow. Right. You all have a good one.